Do you think out loud in your language? And what about your other languages, those you learned at some point? Hi, I'm Ute from Ute's International Lounge, and I help internationals foster all their languages in the most effective way. When we are the only ones, or one of the few our children hear our languages from, we want to make sure that they get plenty of input. Now, plenty of words and sentences, short and long sentences. Now, when my children were toddlers, I had the habit to think out loud, to say out loud what I was thinking all the time. I would say things, for example, at the supermarket in German. Wo ist der Einkaufswagen? Suchen wir einen. Nehmen wir diesen hier? Der ist gerade noch frei. Hängen wir mal die Taschen dran und stellen den Korb schon mal rein. Mal sehen, ob ihr alle reinpasst. Einer nach dem anderen und haltet euch auch gut fest. Mit 3 Kindern ist das nicht immer so ganz einfach. Jetzt müssen wir aufpassen, dass wir nichts vergessen. And so on. I would talk a lot, but don't get me wrong, I was making pauses also because I wanted my children to respond in some way with gestures or their words that they were able to say. What seems crazy is actually not. When we raise our children abroad and are one of the few or the only person who provides that language to our children, every interaction counts. I don't mean by that that we have to fill all the silences. Absolutely not. In fact, it is a kind of an art of effective communication. I help parents learn how to effectively talk with their children. And if you want to know more about this, you can have a look at my website or leave a comment here below. Now, once our children started talking, I talked a little bit less. Or to be precise, I left more space for them in the conversation. But especially when we were playing, I would think out loud why I would make a certain move. I would analyze and share also my reasoning. So, for some people, this way of thinking out loud can come across as chatty and oversharing. But when we play strategic games together, I love it when my children explain what they do, why they do it, what leads them to take this given decision. Now, usually they would do this in English now that they are older, as it is their school and education language and the one they speak with most of their friends. But when we are all together, it's lovely to hear them speak German or sometimes Swiss German and even Italian sometimes, depending on who else is playing. Now, do they all think out loud whilst playing? Not always, only sometimes. Do they all choose the home language to do it? No, because we don't have the home language only policy or rule. Why? Because ours is a language friendly home. And all languages, dialects, etc., are welcome, and I want the communication to flow. So, whatever language they are thinking in their head is okay for me for when they explain out loud what they are doing. Of course, I need to understand what they are saying. If they're using a language that I'm not that fluent in or that I don't understand, I have to ask them, please switch to the language I understand. But usually they wouldn't just share in a language that none or only a few of the other players are able to understand. So, by thinking out loud, formulating our next move at a game, we model the vocabulary of that particular game. And our children can easily pick it up. This is for the youngest ones. Now, usually the game lingo is not too complicated or not too varied, so there is a lot of repetition and also a pattern in the logic of the game that helps structure the thoughts and the sentences. Now that my children are young adults, they teach me the terms of new games in their language of preference. Do I still think out loud? Yes, from time to time. And I also choose the language I prefer in that setting. Either the language of the game, we have board and card games in different languages, or the one that we just all agree to play the game in. So for us, thinking out loud can be a great mix of languages. Now I want to know from you, do you also think out loud? Have you also noticed that your children copy you when you do so? How are they doing it? And in what languages do you think out loud? In what languages do your children think out loud? I would love to know this, and please share this in the comments.